After enduring a fighting retreat from the Greek mainland in April of 1941, the British Commonwealth's 2nd New Zealand Division and elements of the 6th Australian Division, under command of General Bernard Freyberg, garrisoned the Greek island of Crete. These forces were to reinforce Crete's current garrison of the 14th UK Infantry Brigade and Royal Marines. Freyberg was then appointed overall commander in defense of Crete, charged with commanding this mixed allied force of nearly 40,000 Commonwealth soldiers known as Cree Force. Codename Operation Mercury, the invasion of Crete by an entirely airborne force was the audacious plan of one General Oberst Kurt Student, the father of the German Fallschirmjäger. Student believed in an oil spot fighting strategy for his Fallschirmjäger on Crete, quickly overrunning vital positions by shock, consolidating forces from multiple drop zones, and then expanding outwardly in force like oil running over water. The Fallschirmjäger at this point were an experienced fighting force which had claimed multiple decisive victories prior to the invasion of Crete. The most vital location in the Battle of Crete would prove to be in the western town of Maleme, where a hill known as Point 107 overlooked its airfield. It is here the German Sturm Regiment, nearly 600 strong in the first wave and led by General Major Eugene Mendel, initially landed. Their orders were to capture the Tavrontis Bridge, silence enemy strong points and guns on and near Hill 107, and establish a forward command headquarters in order to coordinate the eventual assault of the Maleme airfield proper. Charged with the defense of the Maleme airfield is Lieutenant Colonel Leslie Andrew of the 22nd Battalion, New Zealand Infantry, commanding an initial force of around 800 strong. His mission was to hold Hill 107 and the Maleme airfield at all costs while providing fields of fire over the Tavrontis Bridge and surrounding Maleme village. Lieutenant Colonel Andrew is a World War I veteran with command and combat experience, though rather unprepared for an airborne invasion which is about to unfold, where there are no clear enemy front lines like in the Great War. Just after dawn on May 20, 1941, the skies over Crete were awash with German aircraft and paratroopers. Preceding these landings were massive bombing raids by the Luftwaffe in order to neutralize anti-aircraft emplacements and soften up the Allied garrison. The morning of the 20th is characterized by strong winds from the west, sending German paratroopers, their drop canisters, and gliders significantly off course. In the chaos that ensues, their early actions near Hill 107 will prove pivotal to the overall Battle of Crete to come. Our battle report today is played using the first edition Chain of Command rule set, with miniatures and terrain in 28mm scale, played at our clubhouse in Portland, Oregon. Preceding the patrol phase of our game, we rolled for flight conditions on the morning of the operation. Strong winds were present, sweeping the landscape and altering drop zones. The planned Fallschirmjäger drop zones were marked upon the board, then were shifted 4 D6 inches using a D12 directional die, with each number corresponding to the hands of the clock. Here are the initial drop zones for the paratroopers, drop canisters, and gliders. Then, given the winds, here are the final positions after being blown off course. British Commonwealth troops then deployed near Maleme village on the eastern side of Point 107, occupying the fire base on the hill and in the town with choice jump-off points to reinforce their positions. One glider section led by Lieutenant Colonel Walter Koch, commander of the 4th Battalion Heavy Weapons Sturm Regiment, lands safely in the dry Tavrontis riverbed, despite strong winds. Support weapons are quickly unloaded, including a PaK-36 anti-tank gun with HE rounds, a light mortar, and MG-34 teams. Paratrooper Sticks 1 and 2 then land in a hail of gunfire near the RAF camp on the western slope of Hill 107, armed only with pistols and combat knives. They quickly spot a cluster of drop canisters nearby and begin arming themselves for an assault on an Allied strongpoint spotted upon Hill 107. General Major Eugene Mendel, overall commander of the Fallschirmjäger Sturm Regiment, lands nearby in a glider and quickly takes command of these two squads. Mendel is joined by Walter Garrick of 1st Battalion, Fallschirmjäger Regiment 1. Lieutenant Colonel Andrew quickly responds by bringing forth D Company infantry, garrisoned in the outskirts of Maleme village on the eastern slope of Point 107, and calling for mortar fire upon the German forces spotted near the RAF camp. A machine gun team and rifle section hastily moved to take up defense of the village. Koch calls for mortar support from the riverbed to return fire in kind upon the forces in the Maleme village, while ordering the PaK-36 and MG-34 teams to move up to the embankment near the bridgehead. The 3rd Fallschirmjäger stick lands nearby the bridgehead, only to find themselves without a tenable drop canister with which to arm themselves. Both the garrison Commonwealth troops in the village and atop the strong point on Hill 107 quickly pinned down this 3rd paratrooper squad. Meanwhile, a third Commonwealth squad is called up and begins marching upon the main path towards the summit of Hill 107, straight toward the two Fallschirmjäger sections cautiously advancing on the opposite slope. Gunfire is exchanged between these two forces until A Company valiantly charges the Fallschirmjäger sections. A barbarous melee ensues, with the more experienced Fallschirmjäger winning the engagement by a slim margin. The Commonwealth squad is pushed back and eventually routed in short order. However, this reduces the two Fallschirmjäger squads by a significant troop count as well. Indeed, General Major Eugene Mendel is injured, but is still able to rally his forces for the assault. Yet will it be enough to break the enemy's strongpoint on Hill 107? The pillbox on 107 opens up on the pinned-down Fallschirmjäger stick number 3 as the paratroopers scramble to find any sort of cover and means of egress towards the nearby drop canister, which, unfortunately, has directly landed in the confluence of British machine gun fire. Meanwhile, the German MG-34 team from the glider landing finally makes it to the Tavrantis bridgehead and begins pouring on the lead, taking out several Commonwealth troops in the village. The Cree-Force MG team is reduced to 2 crew members, yet they return fire in the subsequent phases. The German PaK-36 is also moved up from the riverbed, and its team makes a hell-bent-for-leather push towards a forward firing position that's protected from the pillbox on Hill 107, but can still command a field of fire over the village. The PaK-36 team finds limited success, however, reducing the Commonwealth MG team down to 1 crew, but is ultimately neutralized once Commonwealth forces return fire. The beleaguered 3rd Fallschirmjäger stick finds cover in a nearby clump of trees, but are unable to rally themselves to prove effective on assaulting Maleme village. Despite heavy casualties, the 2 original Fallschirmjäger squads decide to press on with their assault of the bunker, splitting into 2 teams for the attack. The first team is led by Mendel, who attempts to head through the olive groves on the left side of the hill, drawing the bunker's fire, while Garrick's forces make a daring head-on assault. Andrew takes command from inside the Commonwealth bunker and orders a section in reserve from A Company to attempt to flank the assaulting German forces. This proves to be a crucial decision as Mendel's maneuver is stopped in its tracks, pinning his squad firmly in place. Despite this, Garrick's team proceeds with the charge and makes it nearly the distance towards the bunker when disaster strikes. Garrick is severely injured and the momentum of the assault is ultimately lost. The attack cannot proceed and orders are given by Mendel to withdraw from the hill and regroup near the forward command headquarters in the riverbed. Outnumbered, scattered to the wind, and having taken heavy casualties, the Sturm Regiment is rebuffed for the time being, giving the Commonwealth forces a decisive victory in these early actions around Hill 107. Despite the initial actions at Maleme going to the British and the Fallschirmjäger sustaining heavy losses in our game, as was historically accurate, Lieutenant Colonel Andrew's communication is strained with Freiburg, who denies him reinforcements, and Andrew believes his battalion to be surrounded and the Maleme airfield already captured. The Fallschirmjäger, by contrast, despite being scattered to the wind, deal with this fog of war better than Andrew's battalion and hold on tenuously. In the dark of the night after the first day of combat, Andrew retreats off of Hill 107, essentially handing over the key to the Battle of Crete to the Germans, who exploit the Maleme airfield to reinforce their entire campaign and ultimately capture Crete over the next 11 days. Thank you everyone for watching our battle report, which was filmed for Little Wars TV's Quick Strike After Action Challenge 2025.